Hello all and welcome to Wayne's Allotment. Hope you're all doing well, staying safe, looking after yourselves and looking out for each other. I'm going to give you a plot tour. That's why we're out here now at the moment. Today is Sunday the 21st of March, and I've been doing quite a bit of work on one or two beds, and you'll see as we go round. And I just thought, while it's all a bit barren, to put it bluntly, at the moment, I thought I'll just let you know what I've got, what I'm planning on doing and what's happening with what beds. So grab yourself a brew, put your feet up and sit back and enjoy. Right, the edge of this bed here, starting over this end, and I'll work my way back up. As you can see, this has all been dug over. It had raspberry canes in it, and this is the first year in probably about 3 years that it's had a real good digging over, and I've got a lot of mare's tail out of it. That's our one really bad weed that we do get plagued with, mainly because last year this wasn't worked a great deal, and there's no doubt still a lot of mare's tail under this path, but I've dug all this over. I've got the raspberry canes out, and what I've done is, as I've come across and taken these out, I've then moved some into buckets round home, and those that I haven't moved into buckets have been repositioned elsewhere. So that's got them out, and I've got that dug over, and I'm glad I've done it, because I got absolutely loads of mare's tail out of it, unbelievable. And I'll show you what I'm doing with the rest of this. Right, the rest of this bed here has been, as you can see, it's been dug over. There was some leaks in a little bit there. They've been got out. I've dug them out, and I've dug this over. I have also had a visit, I think, from a fox, because something's dug a nice little hole here. So, but I know we've got foxes on site. I have caught them on my wildlife camera, so I've repositioned the camera to see if I can get any more action, as it were. But with regards to plot, this is yet to be dug over. The manure is obviously going to be worked in. What I shall be doing is I shall do a small area that I shall fork over to remove any weed, and mainly to remove things like mare's tail. Then once I've forked it over, I shall then double dig to put the manure in, and I shall do it in small sections, working my way back up to that end of the plot. Right, as we go across the path and move on to the rest of my beds over here, I've got the rhubarb. You saw in a previous video that I've covered this all over with weed suppressant fabric. I did say then that I'd like to have got it tighter, but really there's not much chance of that happening, because it's a raised part of the plot anyway. It does come up, but also I'd put quite a bit of manure round these crowns, and I mean this one and that one, this is an early variety anyway, and they're doing great. There's some to be harvested off that even now, and we're what, 21st of March, and you could definitely take some off them. These are just slowly starting to spring to life. But that's the rhubarb covered up, and I'm pleased I've done it. It should help reduce a lot of weeding over the year ahead. Okay, these two beds here, this for this year is going to become a carrot bed, basically because this is superb soil. It's absolutely really nice and fine, so that is solely going to be a carrot bed for this year. This bed, this had sprouts in it towards the end of last year. At the moment, I'm not sure what I'm going to put in that. I think I'm going to do a row of peas down that side before the rhubarb gets too big and starts to encroach on it. And I may do some beetroot down this side. That's what I'm thinking at the moment anyway. I'll show you what's going on with these fruit trees as well. And there we go, fruit tree. This is a conference pear, and as you can see, coming into bud nicely. There's quite a few buds, and all coming all the way up this shoot and below it. There is also some coming on the apple tree that is next to it that way. I'll just turn you around and show you. Sorry about the shaky camera, but I'm trying to handle the tripod as well here. But see, nice bit of some buds coming on that apple tree as well. Right, these two beds, these have both been double dug. In fact, this one has been double dug and has had a lot of manure worked into it, or dug into it, and a lot worked on the top, because that bed is going to be pumpkins. That's the plan for this year. This bed, these canes, these are telling a very sorry story. I had in here Claudia Aquadulce broad beans, and they were about 6 to 8 inches tall, something like that. They went in towards the end of last year, and with all the frost and the snow, we had a lot of snow at one point, and then we had some quite sharp frosts, and it's just killed them off. But the garlic at the back, I'll show you that a bit closer, but that garlic at the back is doing really well. I'm really pleased with that. I'll show you that in a minute. Right, this garlic, it's really doing well. Elephant garlic down that side, there's just one missing, that's all. Down this side, Solent White, every single one has fired, and they, I know I'm going to repeat myself, but yeah, they're doing fantastic. Really pleased with these. This bed, as I said, was double dug, manured, manure on top. Since these have gone in, they have had a top dressing of a bit of potash. In a previous video when I was filling it was this one, filling this end one up, I put a little bit of potash around these just to give them that, just to help them along. And yeah, I don't think they're looking back, they're doing really well. So that's the garlic. Okay, so this bed, so working from that end near you at the camera, I'm going to put at least one row of peas, maybe 2 rows of peas in there. I then need some space for some broccoli, some calabrese, So that'll probably go in next to there, along with some sprouts that will go into here. Then working away back here, I'll have some salad crops that I think I'm going to go about where I am. And then this at the back here, that will have parsnips in it. That's the plan at the moment. We all know what these plans are like. Okay, so these 4 beds. Now, this bed, I think I'm going to do some beetroot in this. At the moment it's got some bluebells in it and some snowdrops. These are what I've taken out from round the raspberry canes that were down the far end. This next bed, this is going to be my sweet corn bed. These 2 beds have been double dug and manured. And then these 2 beds, these are going to be brassicas. All as these have had in them at the moment is they've had a little bit of fish, blood and bone, and about a week ago I treated these 2 to a bit of lime, just worked a bit of lime in, because these are going to be used obviously for brassicas. Okay, now we're on to the last 2 beds on this plot. This bed here, I'm undecided at the moment whether to, because it's not had any brassicas of any sort in it for a good few years, whether to go with brassicas or some salad crops. Unsure with that one. This one, I know exactly what I'm doing with this. This is going to have some sweet peas on that end. Then I'm growing some dahlias from seed. I'm also going to be doing some cosmos and zinnia. So I'm thinking of coming at least halfway up with flowers like that, making a bit of a flower bed. And then the end here, I think I shall do another row of peas and maybe odd salad crops in between. Over here, this has all been dug over. All these beds, by the way, have been double dug, manured. This has been double dug and manured, and that's going to have nasturtiums climbing up that fencing, and again it's going to have some dahlias, zinnias, cosmos, that sort of thing. Lupins as well, that's something I'm doing from seed, and some aquilegia. I've got an aquilegia there that's from last year, that's doing nicely. A lupin that I moved, it was down by the rhubarb, and I moved that up there, so that will go in there. So roughly from about here forward, all this will be a flower bed, and all down here will be a flower bed. A couple of things I want to point out with regards that plot tour video. You'd seen where I started filming, where I'd cleared the last of the raspberry canes and give that all a good digging over and got the last few leeks out. All that area there is going to be potatoes this year. I'm doing 2 varieties. I'm doing Maris Piper, which I've never grown before, but talking to fellow plot holders, there's 1 or 2 of them around there that grow Maris Piper and seem to do quite well with them. And I'm also doing Charlotte. Now, I don't know which way to do the rows, whether to do them left to right or whether to do them front to back. I will go round and measure. I think going left to right, I think I can get about 14 potatoes in a row. But obviously going front to back, I'm going to be able to get a few more. I might be able to get up to about, I might be able to get 17, 18 in a row. So it could be a case of go front to back and end up with just something like 3 rows of potatoes, rather than going left to right and end up with about 6 or 7 rows. I don't know, that's something I'll look into obviously before I plant the potatoes. I have got some pink fir apple and I've got some Sarpomera, but they'll be grown this year in buckets. I shall grow those in the big 35 litre tubs that I've got. And also on that, where you couldn't see because of where the camera was, about 6-7 weeks ago, 5-6 weeks, something like that, I dug out a trench across the front, filled that with manure and backfilled it, and that's going to be for my beans. I only ever grow French beans, normally just grow Cobra. This year I'm doing Cobra, and I'm also going to do Blue Lake. Looking through videos, people growing Blue Lake all seem to have a real good harvest, and I thought, why not? I'll try them myself this year. So we're growing them along the front. Also on that part of the plot, I will put the onions, and obviously dependent on which way I go with the potatoes, whether it's left to right or front to back, will then depend on which way I go with the onions. At the moment I'm thinking front to back, because there'll be slightly longer rows, and I'm thinking that I could make better use of the ground on there. I also mentioned on there with regards to the fox. Now, the reason why I know there's been a fox on there is a few days before I recorded the plot tour, I put my wildlife camera out a bit further up on my plot that's got all the beds on, the separate raised beds, and I managed to catch the fox going across first one way past my plot and then back the other way. So I moved, the day of filming the plot tour, I moved the camera, put that onto the bed where I'd pointed out about the fox and so on, put it on there, and I managed to get some video and some stills of the fox on that area. At first I wondered why, and I'm thinking, well, what would a fox be doing on there? But after doing a little bit of research on the internet, I didn't realise that foxes will eat worms and slugs. They also eat frogs. We know they eat rabbits and chickens and so on. This is why farmers don't like them, because of eating chickens, I assume. But I didn't know about them eating worms and slugs and so on. So of course there's quite a few worms in amongst all that manure and that there. So I suppose that's why he was having a bit of a rummage around. So I'm going to sign off now, but I have got some footage to show you with regards to the fox on the plot. It's at night, so it's black and white, which is a bit of a shame, but I think it's, to be honest, I think it's quite sweet. It's, you know, call me a softie or what, I don't know. I mean, if it was the summer and the fox was rooting up vegetables, I'd probably have a little bit of a different frame of mind about it. But this time of year, and the fact that there's nothing growing anywhere at the minute, I think it's quite sweet. It's, I don't know. So thank you all very much for watching. Be good, look after yourselves, look after each other, and until the next time, I'll see you in the next one. Ta-ra a bit.